What it is, guys, it is your old boy Pilk, and I'm coming back at you with more Wood Plow. Now, today we are, of course, talking a little bit about the new stuff that came to Danmachi last night. We talked about all this on stream, but more people really kind of watch these than they watch the stream. So let's talk about this. Once again, not everyone can make the stream, so it's not a requirement to come to stream. But let's talk about this. Okay, this was pretty awesome. This NOS is really important for Record Buster right now. I'll make a whole Record Buster video because I'll be real. My Record Buster team's not ready yet. I'm still working on them. I'll be working on them mostly tonight, and then probably tomorrow we'll bring the video on Record Buster specifically. I know it's a little late on in the content for that, but you know, I don't have my light teams ready. I never really, honestly, did much with my light team, so we'll deal with that later. But NOS is pretty good for Record Buster. Hopefully you have her. Her heroic trial is on right now. I actually do not. And I'm going to be real with you guys. So, I hit this banner twice, and I told myself I wasn't going to. Of course, you guys that were here last night, you saw I was up to 1,200 Iris right now. Or last night, and I'm just about back up there. So, I'll be back up there before the end of the night. It ain't that big a deal. But, I would recommend staying away from these banners. Maybe if you hit each one once for the 200 Iris, that probably wouldn't be so bad. But, you know, the 200 Iris discount, I didn't do it over here because NOS is not over here. You get that Lily instead. And I've got plenty of the All Abroad, and that's actually her name. That's not a Freudian slip. Her name is All Abroad. I had that so wrong for so long. We had a whole conversation about that last night in VC. Hestia. But the 200 Iris is probably not a bad investment, but it is not a guaranteed 4-star. That said, last night I got a 4-star out of it. Plus, the other thing to bear in mind, these are not time-limited units. So, they're in the general pool. In fact, I pulled that All Abroad Hestia last night. The 4-star I got wasn't even one from here. I got the All Abroad Hestia from a 3-star tickets last night. So, do bear that in mind before you start hitting this banner too hard. It's not really worth. Now, I will say these units got a power-up. We'll talk about that here in a minute as well. But here's your paid banners. I'm going to be real. I might actually hit the one for Naza just because I need her for Record Buster. But, you know, that's just my desires to whale a game. Says the guy who claims to be free to play all the time. I've only done it once like that, okay, guys? Cut me a little bit of slack. If I decide to blow 20 bucks here and there on something like that, whatever. My business. My business. Mind your own, damn it. So, Mesmerizing Dancer gotcha. The power-up they promised to give these guys is nowhere near, or gals, I guess technically, is nowhere near kind of what we realistically got. But, you know, they did get a bit of a power-up. We'll talk about that too. So, I can think that's worth talking about right now. This one also is a 200 draw, but once again, I don't know. In fact, there's not really anything they do for the current Record Buster, so I would just say leave this one the hell alone. Unless you just need one more dupe to MLB him, it's not really worth. Because Tione is, what is her type? Water type, and the other one's a fire type. Now, water types actually are coming up here. Usually summertime is when they do the water types, so she wouldn't be the worst investment. But once again, I wouldn't go beyond the 200 Iris. Remember, next week, as of a week from yesterday, we are getting the wedding dress units. So those of you honest to goodness perverts out there that want your waifus, we're getting the real waifus next week. Now, let's talk about the big power-up that they got, because it's interesting. They made them, I won't say relevant, but they did a really good job of bringing them up to date. So let's go in here to update. Okay. And let's go to unit adjustment. Alright. So, before, Lily, see, she had foes, low light magic attack. Now it's a low light magic attack. And self-light magic damage plus 70% for 4 turns. That's actually awesome. That gives her a huge amount of damage. For 4 turns, no less. So actually, I will say, she actually probably wouldn't be a bad one for your team if you haven't pulled her. I do not have her. I'm hesitant to pull another banner. But remember, she's not time limited, so do what you do. Okay? So, skills. She had Crafter, which was Dex 1. Now she has Enlightenment, which is Magic plus 15%. She had Acceleration, Agility 10%. She had Instinct now, Agility and Dex 10%. So they combined these two into Instinct and gave her plus 50% Magic. That's a huge power up for her. Actually, I take it back. She actually might be the better of all 4 of them. Unbreakable. Endurance, plus 10%. Now it's Dark Resistance 20%. And just like before, Enlightenment 1, which was Magic 10%, they gave her Endurance, Agility, and Dexterity 10% for Rigid 1. And then, of course, Status Resistant, Ailment Resist 50%, Status Resistant didn't change. Didn't change at all. So, pretty straightforward stuff. Pretty straightforward stuff. So they gave that a boost, moved it up there, combined the Agility and Dex, put it there, and they have it there too. So, pretty interesting stuff. That's Lily. Okay? The only stat she changed was Magic. She got a tiny boost on her Magic. But that's probably from that 15%. So, Naza. Naza got a huge amount of updates. A huge amount of updates. Okay? Gatling Arrow. Before, it was Ultra Physical Attack with 30% Steel. Now it's Ultra Light. So basically they give her the Light modifier with 30% Seal, which is kind of awesome, actually. And that's a foes, plural. Flows. My understanding of how that works is it does a roll for every person it hits, so you've got a good chance of sealing. Okay? Trick Arrow. Medium physical attack and magic 30% for 4 turns. Now it's a mid-light physical attack with magic and guard rate minus 30% for 4 turns. That's pretty substantial. I'm not going to lie. It's pretty substantial. Okay? Before, Buster Arrow. Okay? High physical attack with heal 30% damage. You can see what you got here. High light physical attack with temporary strength boost and HP heal of 30% damage. So she got some really substantial upgrades. Okay? Hiding Potion. Allies. Magic resist 30%. She gets magic resist and counter rate plus 30% for 4 turns. So that's for all allies. All allies. You see why I want her. She's really, really good. Okay? Let's go down here to her skills. So, before she had Acceleration, which was Agility 10%, Unbreakable Endurance 10%, Defense, Physical Resist plus 10%, Magic Resistance plus 10%, Ailment Resistance plus 10%. Okay? They gave her Strength plus 15%, Protection, Physical Resist and Magical Resist 10%, so they just put these two together. Dark Resistance, 20%, which makes sense because she's a light type unit. Climb, Endurance, and again, that's going to help with Reveria, because remember, Reveria right now is a dark type. So, once again, I really want her, man. I really, really do. Climb. Endurance and Agility, 10%. Okay? See? Once again, they add them all together. So, and they didn't change the ailment resist. So, she got some really good updates. Really good updates. Okay? So, here's Tione. Tione's update. So for the record, they didn't update Hestia's pretty much the way this is going. They've only updated the, they didn't really need to, honestly. They only updated the adventurers. Okay? Fortigrands. High physical attack. She's now a high water type physical attack with temporary strength boost and 15% seal. I have a sneeze coming, but it's now fighting me, so if I let it out, I apologize. It's going to be a violent one. It's just driving me nuts now. It's making me crazy. All right. Stella Scudo. She drives a Scud? Anyway. Allies. Physical... Someone out there gets that one. Allies. Physical resist. 20% for 4 turns. And it's now physical resist and agility 30% for 4 turns. So, big update there. Big update. Luna... I almost read that as phlegm. Luna Phlegm. Foes. Remove stress. Not very becoming of a female now, is it? Foes. I guess she can do whatever. You know what? It's 2019. Old girl could be as Amazon as she wants to be. She'll, what's up? Be like, I'd still smash. And viewership just went down. Luna Phlegm. Remove strength buffs and assist skills. After mid-water physical attack, and removes all strength buffs and assist skills. So, before it didn't really do any damage. Now it actually does water type damage. So that's pretty handy. Pretty handy if I don't lie. Okay. So they increased her strength from 10% to 70%, which is ridiculous. Ridiculous. Ailment resist hasn't changed. Insane speed. Instead, they gave her fire resist 20%, which makes sense because she's water type. Tough. Endurance 10%, so they added 5% to the agility and put him over here under climb. Healing power 1% HP regen. She's now up to 3% HP regen. So, really good stuff. She's got a huge... Look at her stat changes. I'm actually really glad I have her. She's going to come in super handy when we get the water types back around. Because those stat changes are ridiculous. She's really good. Once again, though, I want to preface this by saying, don't go crazy on this banner. While I am telling you she's a good unit, and she'll come in handy, we have 2nd anniversary coming up. We've got the waifu banner, which we know nothing about, like except the card art. We've got a lot of things coming up, and this is an old stuff that, while good, isn't groundbreaking. So don't get too excited. We are likely up against another meta change. If you guys remember, 1st anniversary last year, there's a big change in the meta. It didn't affect the US/North American version as much because we basically just got the game. We didn't know enough at the time to really, or those of us that weren't playing the JP version, I will say, didn't know enough at the time to kind of understand what was going on. But yeah, we're about to be up on a big meta change, it seems like, because that's what we got last year for anniversary. So don't be surprised and don't go hard on these units. Be cautious. Okay? Tiona. She goes from a mid physical attack with 50% ton to a high fire physical attack. That's actually really awesome. From mid to high. With 15% strength. With temporary strength with 50% stun. Stella Defensa. Just call it defense. Why you gotta be so fancy about it? So, magic resist 20% for 4 turns. Magic resist to end dex 30% for 4 turns, which is pretty awesome. Okay? And Luna Prighetti. Sounds like a pasta. Removes magic buffs and assist skills. Now it becomes medium fire attack with removes magic buffs and assists, just like her sister. So, pretty straightforward stuff. Now, once again, agility 10%, crush, strength 80%. Gets an even higher strength boost. Crazy. Indomitable. Endurance 10%. Ailment resist 15% is what that's become. Courageous. Strength 4%. What in the hell? She got 20 times the modifier on her strength. That's ridiculous. They need to do this with more units. I'm for real. So, now we've got earth resistance minus 20%. Okay. Which I guess is kind of for the fire types. That works. Fist strike, strength 4% again. Okay, so I see. So she got basically 4 of those. I wasn't paying attention to those 4. They were just kind of blocked out when I saw that earlier. So she had like 16%. She still got a crazy boost, guys. Crazy boost. So they did the endurance and agility all as one thing down here under climb. And healing power, she got 30%. So she got a lot of stuff her sister had. But she got a higher strength boost. The only thing that really changes, though, is strength. So, good unit. So she's 1083. Let's see what... Her sister might be the same. Come on, don't troll. No, she's a little higher. She's a little higher. So, yeah. Pretty straightforward stuff. Those are all the changes to the units. So, be aware of that. And I'm going to be real. I shouldn't do it. I'm a bad example. I shouldn't do it. But I really, after reading up on the Lily, I do kind of wonder, and I haven't done the 200 Iris. But I will preface this. I'm going to do the 200 on the 200 Iris here. I'm going to say after this, save. Save. I mean, I'm glad I gave you a 4-star. But the problem is now people are going to be like, oh, it's not 4-star guaranteed. If I get the Lily, it's pure, unadulterated luck. So let's see here. It's probably going to be Hestia if I'm honest. Well, it could be anybody, really. Alright. So, Wealth. Alright. There's our 4-star. New phone, who dis? So that is That's the Chigusa. It's a bond for her. A second one. Okay, cool. So my 200 Iris was 100% worth. 100% worth. Okay. That's another bond for that Hestia. Ain't mad about that. So I was really on the fence about doing the 200 Iris, but I'm no longer on the fence about that. It was awesome. Truly awesome. So, yeah. No regrets at all about that decision. So, even though they're both bonds, that's really good. Now, it is a 100% guaranteed 4-star unit, but I'm gonna stay away from it. I'm gonna honestly stay away from it. Leave it alone, guys. Do the 200 Iris and walk away. I got a 4-star. There's no need to be greedy, right? Right? I really want that Lily. I'm gonna be real. So, if we go over here in event, the last thing I want to talk about is the quest. I have been doing this. I haven't quite. We were working towards getting our 4-star ticket last night. When I get the 4-star ticket, I'll actually record and upload the pulls and those, and I'll try to do those before tomorrow when we do the video on Wrecker Buster. But I digress. There's also an 11-star draw right here, or 11 3-star 11 draw right there. The thing that's really interesting about this, so this does not have a gacha, but usually when these don't have gachas, the books and your falna are unlimited, guys. Completely unlimited. As you can see, I've been taking advantage of the falna. So make sure you are taking clear advantage of this while it's around. It's only around for a week, so you got a very short amount of time to farm this up. But it's entirely worth. Entirely worth. But don't sleep on your 4-star tickets. Whether or not Old Boy here is a wise decision, I am going to leave that up to you. I am probably, if I am real, probably going to save my items. Well, okay, hold on. So which items do I need for the falna? It's usually... So yeah, see, my Exilia I need for the large one. So I might be real here, and for the large falna. Yeah. So that kind of makes the decision for me. I'm not going to MLB the 3-star unit. My personal opinion. I'm never going to use him. He's just there for collection purposes. I'll probably get him and hang on to him. But if I am honest with you guys, completely honest with you, when it comes to these two, I'll probably do that one. When it comes to these two up here, I am going to hold off, and I'm going to say, for me, because here's the thing. You have to have the one. So we're going to go ahead and buy the one right now. Okay? You have to have him to S-clear the final level. So once you have him, you throw him on your team, you go out there, you S-clear the final level. You have to have him to do it. But, we get enough 3-star bonds that we do nothing with. I don't know about you guys. I've done literally nothing with my 3-star bonds. I'm going to use them on him. They do nothing else for me. So that, to me, is a better investment. Because those 150 right there, that is how many books? How many books is that? It's 4 books, so quick maths. It's a ton of books. A ton of books. It's more than 3. A lot of books. So, be, I won't say cautious, but be wise. You do not want to go crazy on those other on the 3-star unit. Get what you can. Save those last 2 bonds. Don't get them. Honestly, this got a reset, so maybe you had them before. But take advantage of the Exilia books and of the falna, because that's a huge deal for me. That's a huge deal. On most of the other ones, remember, those are time limit, or I say time limited, quantity limited. So, good stuff. And as I said, you will need at least one of him, because once you get up here to the final battle, let's see if I can show you here. Okay. So if you pay attention to 127 for the boss, you have to have him on your team. So that's a thing. And if I have him on the team, I might as well at least have him up there. Remember, when you limit break him, you're still getting 10 Iris per limit break. So as I've been hoarding up my 3-star bonds, be a good time to use 3-star bonds. My 2 cents. Let me know what you think in the comments section down below. That is my take on all this. Yours may differ. Follow my Birdman. Hit me up at Booker. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. I will catch you guys tomorrow for our talk about Record Buster, because Record Buster's been a little difficult this time around for me. I won't lie. This Record Buster, because it's light type. Remember, she attacks with sleep and with slow. Now, you can't really combat slow as much, but you can always combat sleep, and she's weak to light types by 50% and earth types by 40%. So plan your teams accordingly. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Follow my Birdman. Hit me up at Booker. I will see you guys then for that video. Until then, stay moist. I love that outro. I know I abuse it, but someone out there is triggered by it every single time, and that just, to me, is the greatest thing.